The question was asked is, last night they ran a session with a young dragon. Half of them ran as they knew the base of the character sheet for the dragon. Like they knew what a young dragon stat sheet was. Those players were advanced players and they knew what a young dragon was, metagaming. And then they ran away. And then, but the dungeon master, this is a question in the live streams of, I had homebrewed it to be a fair fight though. Thoughts on how I can fix this from happening. This is a dilemma. This is a dilemma because that is essentially metagaming. You are knowing, oh, there's this young dragon. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't necessarily know that. Now, if you want to say those players were role-playing their character and they saw a dragon and they ran because they're afraid of a dragon, okay, I can buy that. That's fine. But I don't think that's where these players are coming from. Again, these aren't my players. This is another DM's player, so I'm inferring some things here. But if these players are seeing a dragon, knowing, and probably some of the conversations at the table, like the table talk was like, oh guys, this is a challenge level, whatever. It's armor classes, whatever. There's no way we'd be able to. We got to run. You know, that feels real bad for me. What's the solution? You need to subvert expectations on this thing in both directions, right? So this is the opposite case of the direction. You need to see, so they saw a thing they thought was here when you actually homebrewed it to be here. Props to you for scaling some cool creature down to a fight where they can have it, right? And then now they could have fought it, but now I'm saying flip the tables on them. Introduce something that is a wide known character, maybe like an owl bear or something, you know, something that would be a very well known D&D creature of a decent challenge rating, and homebrew the crap out of it upwards and make it crazy, make it scary, and then they'll be like, wait a second, no, but. And this is like I do this really early on whenever I'm dungeon mastering for a group that I haven't dungeon mastered to before, because they don't know me yet. They don't know me. They don't know me well enough to know that I homebrew things all the time. So they don't know where it's at. I don't want my players to be able to expect things based on meta knowledge of their game. Like, I think it might be cool to, you know, okay, that's an advanced player and they know about owlbears and they maybe know some sort of thing about a weakness or a vulnerability or its ability, or sure, they can gain some advantages from that. And I would hopefully have that baked into the character, like they knew about animals or whatever. But anyway, side note is blow their minds with stuff that's on the other end of that spectrum, to where now they have to evaluate. They can't just rely on that meta knowledge of what's in the book, because what I'm throwing at you is not in the book, right? I've thrown a fire giant at my party before, and one of the players literally got their player's handbook, opened it up to fire giant, and was looking at it. And I told him at the table, I said, I know you're looking at a fire giant book, or I know you're looking at a fire giant in that book, but that's not going to help you at all. Because I might have glanced at that fire giant, but this is a homebrew fire giant, baby. This is welcome to my world. This is not, it's a general stat block. It's going to be different, right? In both directions. And I think that's a much more dynamic game, to where now when they encounter a young dragon, when they encounter a fire giant, when they encounter an owlbear, they're not going to be able to rely on some sort of like human knowledge of the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. They are going to have to evaluate how you're describing, like what you're saying. They're going to be linked and hooked onto your words. Now my players know I don't mess around, but I also mess around homebrew wise, you know what I mean? Like, this might be something they could kill. So they're going to be listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth of my descriptions of this character, of this creature. How am I describing something? Am I trying to invoke power in this thing, where I describe it lacerating through small hordes of goblins as they approach the thing, and it's just hacking through one swipe at a time? That's crazy powerful. Or is it getting attacked and it's like, you know, barely surviving or something like that? So they're now evaluating and thinking more, instead of just thinking about some sort of meta knowledge about the game, right? So I would say change up their expectations so that they don't know what to expect. So they have to really think critically in your world. And I would also have this, so for the young dragon, they ran away from the young dragon. Have there be some sort of ramifications from that. Maybe have that dragon go and destroy a section of something, destroy a section of the village, and then the people around it be able to describe, like, oh, I mean, like, we were able to take it down, but it wreaked some havoc on this whole situation. And then they would learn, like, oh wow, we could have maybe done something. So they think a little bit more critically. Time out. Speaking of describing stuff, the sponsor of today's video is Describe. Describe is an online platform with thousands of professionally written text boxes that take your descriptions to the next level. They have descriptions for things like places, monsters, spells, and more. They have virtual tabletop integrations, and they're coming out with characters and items soon. As an example, let's look up a red dragon. And right here, we got a bunch of different options. You can even bookmark them and save them for later. And our story was a young red dragon, so let's see that. Sleek, powerful muscles like steel cables bulge outward from these four legs of this immense magical beast. The scales along its back have a faint reddish glow as if magma coursed over the surface of its skin, but most terrifying of all are the spark of malice in its yellow reptilian eyes. As you can see, you can really amp up your own descriptions. I took this, I didn't read it word for word. I took inspiration from it. I like the extra descriptions because sometimes you just don't have the right words to paint that picture. So go to describe.com, use the code TheDungeonCoach to get 10% off whatever subscription you want. They have a bunch of different options for you to customize what kind of things you want to be able to describe. So check out the description below. So until next time, stay creative and think outside that box. Peace.